I started this event back in 2017 to create a space where people can just share a moment of their lives and not fear judgment, criticism, but feel very empowered to be as authentic, vulnerable, and real as they wanted to be. And we've all been there. You think you're all alone, you don't think anyone cares, you don't believe that anyone will understand, and you think that you can't get out. Right now, someone out there is going through exactly the same emotional process. Your circumstances are unique when you went through it, but the feeling of suck is very much the same. The loneliness, the guilt, the shame, all the dysfunctional stories in your head. Someone's going through that right now.
For the last 22 years of my career working with the big banks, one of the big things that people ask me is, Sean, what are you passionate about? And why do you do this business? Being able to help clients save money. Let's face it, life's expensive and it doesn't seem to be getting any cheaper. The key is consolidation and refinance.
Surrey Honda features a large selection of previously owned vehicles. Finance and lease rates are available 7 days a week. The parts and service department is only closed Sundays, and there's multilingual staff on site. At Surrey Honda, 15291 Fraser Highway, 1 block east of 152nd.
Express Lane Auto Body is family owned and operated with over 20 years of auto repair experience. The ICBC accredited body shop is located at 132nd and 78th Avenue in Surrey.
Trigger warning. The stories that you're going to hear are personal in nature and can encroach on topics of abuse, addiction, and a whole bunch of dark topics I choose not to think of right now. But if it does trigger you and you feel uncomfortable and you need to leave, the exit is down the stairs to your left and the lounge is outside. And when you feel better and you want to come back in, you can feel free to be seated anytime I'm speaking. Interrupt me all you want. But if there is a speaker on the mic, if you can just please wait in the little foyer area until they are done speaking and I'm back on the mic.
So I know for me, like that was a huge revelation of like, wow, that's what my friends felt like when they come home and there's nothing there. And that's actually one of the things, again, about family, for me, that I wanted to make sure that my boys never felt. My boys are in the audience as well. I left work, because you were saying about chasing fame and fortune and money. You know what, I said to Mike one day, like I'm a professional engineer. I worked in the industry for 9+ years. And I said to Mike, what's the cost of a car accident? Because right now I am like so stressed out and I'm losing time with the boys. I was actually having a hard time with our daycare lady telling me about my son's milestones. I should be telling you about my son's milestones. You shouldn't be telling me about my son's milestones. So I left my work, cut our household income in half, didn't really care about the money because no income was going to buy me back the time that I was going to lose my child, both of my boys. So when my younger son was 2, yes, Jamie, when Jamie was 2, that's when I decided to leave work because my income was not worth the time I was going to lose my children. And so every single day that they come home, the first thing I ask them is, how was school, right? Because if they've had a bad day, I want to be able to be there as their mother to say, okay, tell me about your day. If it was a bad day, if it was a good day, it was an okay day. Most times like, yeah, what'd you learn today? Yeah. So, but yeah, anyway, but that was the biggest thing that I felt that,
Yeah, that I never had.
So that's the thing, like now he comes home, he's got this dog, oh my God, you're here. So. Yeah.
And it's a neat feeling. I grew up as the oldest. I'm not going to say I was ignored. Life happened, circumstances happened. I never felt that. I had no idea what it's like to come home To be honest, the story that I tell about my mom, I'm gonna share right now. I go up, I see my mom, I love my mom, I open the door, first thing she says is, "There's bills on the table for you." I'm taking my shoes off. You haven't opened them yet. Are you gonna pay the? I haven't. Yes. Not having this debate. I know you show love in a much different way. I'll go look at the bills. I'm just gonna keep my mouth shut. But this whole asking of how you're doing, I had that with my grandparents, but I was like 5 or 6. My whole adult life, no one ever, except her, asked, "How are you doing?" I was in a mastermind, super high level mastermind. They go, "Winston, so what did you achieve today?" It's like, "Oh, we made 10 grand in sales last month." So, great, high five. Are we gonna talk about how we are? It's like, you made 10 grand last month. You should be ecstatic, right? Shoot for 20 next month. I'm like, I hate myself right now. I'm so isolated. I'm all alone. I can't figure it out. But now, thanks to her, I have a puppy that I open the door, and the first thing I ask is, "So, what'd you do today, Kismet?" And I would scan the entire floor for poop and pee stains, right?
No, or anything she might have chewed up. She's actually pretty good.
Yeah, but as I said, it's taken me my entire life from my divergence coming back around, and it took a sibling to introduce a puppy. And again, what's the worst thing that can happen? I'm not answering that question. My sister, Christine Hylands.
Surrey Honda features a large selection of previously owned vehicles. Finance and lease rates are available 7 days a week. The parts and service department is only closed Sundays, and there's multilingual staff on site. At Surrey Honda, 15291 Fraser Highway, 1 block east of 152nd.
Express Lane Auto Body is family owned and operated with over 20 years of auto repair experience. The ICBC accredited body shop is located at 132nd and 78th Avenue in Surrey.
A trigger warning. The stories that you're going to hear are personal in nature and can encroach on topics of abuse, addiction, and a whole bunch of dark topics I choose not to think of right now. But if it does trigger you and you feel uncomfortable and you need to leave, the exit is down the stairs to your left and the lounge is outside. And when you feel better and you want to come back in, you can feel free to be seated anytime I'm speaking. Interrupt me all you want. But if there is a speaker on the mic, if you can just please wait in the little foyer area until they are done speaking and I'm back on the mic. So we're going to come full circle with the stories of family, about learning what family could be, about losing family, about appreciating family. And now we come back to a different version of family, of what can you be if you just let yourself be. And I invite Sharookh Daroowala to the stage to share his story.
In my mind, families are like cats. You love them or hate them. Some of them are loving and caring. Some of them are silly and goofy. And some of them just don't care. Of course, I'm still talking about cats and families. I grew up in a large apartment complex in Mumbai. It was full of feral cats. But that's not the only reason I love my family. Some of them are here, and some of them love cats. Others are giving me the look that says, enough about cats. I spent the first 24 years of my life sharing a bedroom with a woman, my grandma. You learn a lot when you share a bedroom with anyone, especially your grandma. She had lost 6 of her siblings in 2 separate earthquakes, but still had another 7 left over. You should see the size of our family tree. One thing my grandma kept repeating is worth repeating. Remember, when all is said and done, you will realize that your life had been nothing but a collection of stories and relationships. So from now, animate your stories and nurture and nourish your relationships. Families, to me, are about love and hugs, support and sacrifice. They are also about loss and drama. Of course, there's always drama in families, isn't it? My parents could not be more mismatched. My mother was short, but a giant of a role model. She had only one flaw. She couldn't stop talking. And my father was tall, but hard of hearing. He used to say that that was the best handicap. And that is how he had 60 years of wedded bliss with my mother. The great actor Peter Ustinov said that parents are the bones against which children sharpen their teeth. My mother taught me a lot, but cooking wasn't one of them. Neither was listening or being patient. And my father, a man of few words, he used to say that life is full of ups and downs, but you must never stay down. Speaking of drama, when I was 18, my friends and I are going to a big sports event. There's a big rush at the gate. So we decided to scale over a wall. As I'm coming down the wall, I realized that I'm going to land on a long rusty nail that is facing up from a piece of wood. And as I land on it, the nail goes right through my canvas shoe. As I lift my foot up, the wood with the nail lifts up with it. But I'm 18 years old. I want to be with my friends and they've already gone away. So what do? I play Tarzan. I push the wood down and I run after my friends. A week later, I am on my deathbed. Why? Because that long rusty nail has created bacteria in all my internal organs. The doctors have given me less than 24 hours to live. My parents are across the country, and my poor dad drove all the way across India overnight through the potholes and dark highways to get to my bedside table the next morning. Now I know this is Christmas, so I won't do this to you. But let me tell you how it all ends. I'm still here. And I'm here because there is no cure, even today, for tetanus, except that in the rarest of cases, horse's serum, piss, works. That day in Mumbai, there were only 2 such vaccines. And one of them is probably still running through my veins. In life, sometimes you have your downs and then you have your ups. Double happiness. As I'm recovering in that hospital bed, a friend of mine brings her close friend. And over the next 2 or 3 years, that close friend becomes my close friend. We spend a lot of time together, we finish each other's sentences. But after 4 years, we are still just friends. Until one day I go to tell her that I was going to be leaving India to go to the UK for further education. Now, if I was a good listener, I would have heard that her heart just skipped a beat. And I did notice that her eyes had gotten a little bit smarty. Anyway, it turns out that that trip falls apart. And the next thing, we fall into each other's arms. And we are still best friends. In a few months, we will celebrate our 40th wedding anniversary. Before I continue that story, let me tell you how we get here. And let's start with my name, Sharookh Daroowala. In Persian, Sharookh means the face of a king. Of course. But Daroowala means a bootlegger. Who has a name like bootlegger? Well, apparently my family does. But the weird part is that Daroowala is not our real family name. When my dad was 18 years old, he picked it. I mean, it's not like he didn't have options. He could have picked Gandhi or Winston, Churchill, but no, he picked bootlegger. And you're wondering, how does that happen? Well, it happened because my dad at 18 was applying for a job in the Singer sewing machine company. His older brother was already working there. Just as he was about to print his surname, his real surname, his brother says to him, "Wait, don't put down your real surname." My dad is confused. "What do you mean? Whose name should I put?" He says, "Put any name, just not our real surname, Anklesarya." My dad thinks of a friend of his whose name happens to be Daroowala and prints Daroowala, bootlegger, on that form. He spent his entire working life in the Singer sewing machine company, rising to the very top in somebody else's name. And we ended up being bootleggers. Going back to the hospital and meeting my best friend. As my dad was saying, sometimes in life you have ups and you have downs. That is what family does. One day, I read in Time magazine that if you take an aspirin within 10 minutes of getting a heart attack, your chances of survival shoot up. My family at the time kept reminding me that if I didn't slow down, I would get a heart attack. So what did I do? I went out and got aspirin. The very next day, my beloved complains of a big stomachache. She wants me to go upstairs and get her some Tylenol. But because I'm lazy, and there's a bottle quite handy, instead of the Tylenol, I give her an aspirin. A few days later, there's an ambulance at my door. She's rushed to Lionsgate Hospital. And the doctors tell us that she has lost 50% of the blood in her body. The aspirin had ruptured an ulcer in her stomach. For days, I beat myself up. I was so guilty for being lazy and giving her the aspirin. But life is never smooth. Turns out that the aspirin was actually a blessing in disguise, because beneath the ulcer was a tumor the size of a tennis ball. She was diagnosed with stage 4 stomach cancer. And it was unbearable for my 2 boys and I to watch her writhing in pain at age 45. The doctors start talking about end-of-life arrangements. She had already lost all the hair on her head, her entire stomach, and 2 other organs. And one day in hospital, her doctor comes in, and he's got this long face. He's giving us this poor prognosis. And instead of feeling down, Rukhsana looks up to him and says, "Doctor, are you going to give up on me?" And he looks at her and says, "No, I'm never going to give up. Are you going to give up?" And she says, "If you don't give up, I won't give up." The doctor then says to me that perhaps I should take her for a radical treatment in a hospital in Arizona. Arizona. Her whole family is here. My family is here. How do we take her to Arizona? Anyway, I connect up with the doctor over there, and he lays out all the risks and the costs of taking her there. I'm so confused. I say to him very honestly, I said, "Doctor, I don't know what to do. But if this was your wife, what would you do?" His answer may surprise you too. He says, "I would keep her in Vancouver and I would just fill her with love." And there and then, I resolved to fill her with love. I put more heart into the foot massages I give her. I pray for her with more faith. I even start cooking for the first time in my life. I read to her with more patience, and I even try to become a better listener. Now you're wondering, does love cure cancer? I don't know. You have to ask her. All I know is that she developed a greater will to live and to fight and to never give up. And that is why 18 years later, she is still here and paying it forward by being a counselor at the Canadian Cancer Society. She is now spreading love and light to cancer patients across Canada. And love is still holding our family together. Now I know it's Christmas and it's supposed to be about presents. I don't know what I can give you as I leave you. I could, bake you a cake, but it's sure to make you sick. I could write you a check, but that darn thing will bounce. So I will leave you with the gift that my grandmother gave me. And that is to remind you that remember, when all is said and done, you will realize that your life has been nothing but a collection of stories and relationships. So please try to animate your stories and nurture and nourish your relationships. So from my family to yours, happy holidays and Merry Christmas.
For the last 22 years of my career working with the big banks, one of the big things that people ask me is, Sean, what are you passionate about? And why do you do this business? Being able to help clients save money. Let's face it, life's expensive and it doesn't seem to be getting any cheaper. The key is consolidation and refinancing.
Surrey Honda features a large selection of previously owned vehicles. Finance and lease rates are available 7 days a week. The parts and service department is only closed Sundays, and there's multilingual staff on site. At Surrey Honda, 15291 Fraser Highway, 1 block east of 152nd.
Express Lane Auto Body is family owned and operated with over 20 years of auto repair experience. The ICBC accredited body shop is located at 132nd and 78th Avenue in Surrey.
My name is Jeevan Bath. Suki Bath has been selling quality pre-owned vehicles for 37 years. All of our vehicles come with a certified inspection report, and history reports are available for all vehicles. All of our sales staff is fully licensed. Visit SukiBathMotors.com today.